When planning a vacation, it can be overwhelming to figure out the best hotel for your family, your budget, and your personal needs and standards. I know I can get bogged down in reading hotel reviews, trying to find photos that aren't from the hotel website, where they're only gonna show you the best parts of their resort, and they often use special camera lenses to make things seem bigger than they really are. I like first-hand opinions and reviews from real people staying there. That's why one of the things I try to do on this channel is to show you from my experience what things are really like at hotels, resorts, and destinations, with room tours, pool videos, and other informational or vlog-like videos about certain experiences. If you love getting a sneak peek into different destinations and hotels, or love coming along with someone as they travel and try new things, then I would love for you to subscribe to my channel and stay connected. Recently, I stayed at the Wyndham Garden Lake Buena Vista in Orlando, Florida, right outside of Disney Springs. This particular hotel is one of Disney's Good Neighbor hotels, which means there are special Disney perks for guests staying at these locations, even though they're not an actual Disney resort. Now, the perks have kind of gone down over the years, but there are still some pros for staying in the Good Neighbor hotels. The Disney Good Neighbor hotels are AAA approved and also have to follow Disney's standards for comfort and quality. They boast close proximity to Disney property. They have a guest services desk in the hotels where you can purchase tickets or get help planning, though I would highly recommend you do that way in advance of your stay. They also have a little touch of Disney in their lobbies, which makes it feel a bit more like you're at Disney when you arrive. For instance, in the lobby at the Wyndham, there are some photos of Mickey and the gang, as well as a photo op spot with a statue of R2-D2, which was pretty fun. These hotels also offer transportation to the Disney parks. Some are free and others do charge for this service. Now, when I stayed at the Wyndham, it was great because they offer free transportation to the parks, but you have to reserve your spot ahead of time with particular departure and return times. This can feel a little more restricting during your trip because you're locked into a particular time. It's not like when you stay at the Disney resorts and you could just show up at the bus stop and pick up the next bus, go into whatever park you choose. There are ways around the shuttle bus service if you happen to miss your time though, and I'll share that tip with you guys in a little bit. First of all, before I get started, I am not affiliated in any way with the Wyndham hotels, and this video is not sponsored, so this is my complete, honest review just from my experience. The Wyndham Lake Buena Vista has two different sections, I guess you could call it that. On the website, they are referred to as the Wyndham Lake Buena Vista and the Wyndham Garden Lake Buena Vista. They're both technically the same hotel in that they share the same lobby and pool, and they're all connected to each other, but they are in many ways completely separate from one another. The two sections actually even have two different sets of elevators. The first and more expensive section is the Wyndham Lake Buena Vista. For the rest of this video, I'll call this one the Tower. The cost to stay in this section generally runs about 20 to 30% more than the garden section. The hallways are indoor, like a normal hotel feel, whereas the hotel room doors for the garden section open up to the outdoors, which is more of that motel-ish kind of a feel. In the second section, the garden section, this is where I stayed on my particular visit. I was staying by myself and really didn't need anything fancy. As long as it was comfortable and clean, I was completely happy. But I was concerned from some of the reviews I read that it might be too run down and not worth the money. I know you're paying for the location, but I also didn't want to pay a good amount of money and get a rundown room that was hard to feel comfortable in. I'll be honest though, I was pleasantly surprised. I'm not sure if the reviews I had read and watched were outdated. They seemed pretty recent, but from what I can tell, these rooms seem pretty newly renovated. There were a few things I noticed that could use some work in the rooms, or seemed a little cheap, I guess. And I'll note those in my pros and cons section of this video, but overall, the room was just what I needed. First, I'll highlight the features and amenities included in my room. This is the garden room. I loved the colors of the resort overall, especially in the lobby, and the whites, light green, and light wood in the room was fresh and happy to me. The beds were comfortable as well, and I'll insert a quick clip of my thoughts on the bed and pillows when I was staying in the room. Really nice. The mattresses are firm. They're not the kind that like you sink into in a nice way, you know? They're a little firm, but I don't mind that, and I slept very well on them. The pillows are some of those like very squishy pillows. They're not, you kind of fall into them. Again, doesn't bother me, but I know some people have preferences on pillows. I have a special one I use at home, but when I'm in a hotel, I kind of know, you know, it's gonna be different, but they are those super comfy, cushy ones. There was a table and a chair, a bench with storage underneath, and even hooks on the wall to hang jackets, hats, or bags. There was a really cool little feature, the set of lights above the bench that I thought would act as a great night light if you have young kids that needed just a little bit of light in the room when they're going to sleep. I thought that was a really cool little feature. In the dresser underneath the TV was a mini fridge, a coffee station with coffee and hot tea, an ice bucket with disposable cups, and a safe. There are lots of outlets to plug in all your devices. Now to the pros and cons of staying at the Wyndham Lake Buena Vista as a whole. So not just my particular room, but just the resort as a whole. Here are my pros. Lots of amenities, including a beautiful and very spacious lobby, a bar, a cafe, and a restaurant, an amazing pool area with 2 pools, 2 jacuzzis, and a pool bar and grill, a workout facility, an arcade, a business center open 24/7, sand volleyball and basketball courts, and a shuttle service. This also came in my little welcome packet from the hotel. It says it's like a passport to savings. So a bunch of coupons, which heck, enjoy 20% off your purchase at Joffrey's. That's great. Also on my pros list is that it was a very welcoming lobby, and I find that to be a really important feature of any hotel, that feeling that you get when you first walk through the doors. And my impression was pretty great. You walk into the lobby and are overtaken with that incredible scent of Clover World, which is the same fragrance used at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort, Beach Club Resort, and many other Disney hotels. Side note, it's one of my favorite scents at Disney World. In fact, you can get it at the marketplace at Disney Springs or order online. If I can, I'll try to post the link in the description below where you can find the Disney scents in all sorts of forms, candles, fragrance oils, sprays, etc. Okay, I digress. Back to the Wyndham lobby. It is big and bright and fun with lots of seating areas, a small bar, and a little breakfast cafe where you can purchase items a la carte for breakfast or snacks. Another cool feature in their lobby is the over-the-counter pharmaceutical vending machine. If you happen to need Tylenol or other basic items from a pharmacy during your stay, you just go to the little vending machine and you've got your Tylenol or whatever you need. Next thing on my pros list is that it's generally more affordable to stay at the Wyndham than it is to stay at most Disney resort hotels, and more affordable even than some of the other good neighbor hotels in the Disney Springs area. It's also walking distance to Disney Springs, less than a 10-minute walk. I have a full video showing the exact route and time that it takes to walk from the Wyndham to Disney Springs, and I'll make sure that I put a link to that in the description below as soon as that video goes up. Another pro is you can get transportation to the Disney parks on the shuttle service from the hotel. And a little hack is that if you're not in a hurry to get somewhere, you can always walk to Disney Springs and take the Disney buses from there to any hotel or resort. But you can't take it to the parks. So if you're wanting to go to the parks, I used this little hack during my trip and it was really great because if you are at a park and need to get back to your hotel but haven't booked a shuttle to get there, you can hop on a Disney bus and take it to the closest Disney resort. Then from the resort, you can take a bus to Disney Springs and walk back to the hotel from Disney Springs. It is a little less convenient and definitely a lot more walking and waiting, but it's another way to get around if you don't want to bring your car or maybe missed your shuttle ride. Another pro is that if you're a member of the Wyndham Rewards program, you can get points for your stay, which obviously if you're staying at a Disney resort, you're not gonna get any sort of like hotel points for a rewards program. So that's kind of nice. And lastly, they have a great pool area. There was something for everyone. I'll have a pool video coming out soon, so when that comes out, I'll make sure to put a link below if you wanna see a full pool area tour. All right, so on to the cons list. Staying at a Wyndham is not quite as magical as staying on Disney property. Now, there were a lot of Disney touches. They even have a special breakfast at their restaurant where you can get a pretty Disney-like breakfast. You can't dine with characters at those breakfasts, but you still get the Mickey waffles and all that stuff. My second thing on my cons list is a pretty common thing for many resorts these days, but let's talk about resort fees. There is a resort fee charged on top of the nightly rate. Generally, resort fees are supposed to cover pool and gym use, shuttle services, towel service, and often parking, as well as other amenities. And while it's not uncommon for resorts to charge resort fees, this can often feel misleading when you look at the actual cost for the hotel when you're getting ready to book it. The advertised nightly rate may seem lower, but you have to add the nightly resort fee, which can add to the price significantly. As of 2023, the rate is $34 plus 12.5% tax per night. That price will change with time, so be sure to visit the hotel website to check for updated prices before you stay. In addition, the parking is not included in the resort fee at the Wyndham. So if you need to park your car there, you will have an additional $22 plus tax per night for self-parking and $28 plus tax per night for valet. So it really does start to add to your hotel bill. Those are the pros and cons of the Wyndham as a whole. And now on to the pros and cons of the garden rooms in particular. We'll start with my pros. The rooms are comfortable and spacious with nice storage areas for your suitcases and belongings. The beds were firm yet comfortable. I slept really well there. Now for the cons of staying in the garden rooms. Now I'm not comparing these rooms to the tower rooms because I didn't stay there. It's just my feedback on the experience I had staying several nights in the garden room. The rooms are not as nice as Disney resort rooms. However, the amenities in these rooms are about the same as what you would get in a value resort at Disney. There were a few things that were not as great. The ceiling seemed a bit lower, especially in the bathroom area, so it felt really small in the bathroom. The lighting was pretty dim as well. I did stay on cloudy days, so it probably would have helped if it was sunny outside and I kept the blinds open, but overall the lighting felt very dim, especially in the bathroom. I'd bring a lighted makeup mirror if you tend to need a little more light when you get ready in the morning. I also noticed some tiny little bugs. Not sure if they were those no-see-ums or tiny little ants. I really couldn't tell, but the air conditioner was pretty loud. It didn't bother me because I like white noise at night. It helped to kind of drown out any other noise that might be outside my room. So that didn't bother me, but if you kind of don't like a loud air conditioner, I guess that might be a deterrent for you. Other little things like the toilet seat sort of sliding to the side, and it seemed like it was kind of broken on one of the hinges. So that was a little interesting, and it wasn't staying like on the seat, so I would sit down on it and it would like slide to the side. So that was a little weird when you don't feel like the toilet seat is very stable or steady. Honestly, my stay here was quite comfortable, and I spent most of my days out and about, so the room gave me really all I needed, a place to stay. Let's move on to cleanliness. Overall, the hotel room was very clean, except for the shower. I did find 3 hairs in the bathtub when I was looking the place over. Yeah, 1 there. So there's a hair there. There's a little tiny bug. That doesn't bother me. Hair from somebody else, not cool, but luckily I brought some disinfectant wipes, so I might just wipe out this bathtub just a little bit. Another little bug. But again, bugs don't bother me. It's the hairs. Oh, there's another hair. It's a bit gross to me for a nice hotel. I can handle it, totally not the end of the world, but it was something I made note of because I feel like it's important for me to give as much detail and honest review as I possibly can. Also, the shower head probably could have used to be updated. It seemed a little worn out in my opinion. It's an interesting way to have the clothing hanging in that direction versus instead of having it go this way, it's going that way. Which I guess helps with space, but because it's not that wide in here, but I feel like it'd be harder to see all your stuff when it's hanging that way. And then there's a little bit of a shelf up here. Lastly, and I mentioned this before, it is a little bit more of a motel feel in the garden rooms, in that they open to the outdoors instead of to an indoor hallway. It's not really a big deal unless it's rainy and windy, and that means you could get wet even when you are inside the hotel. You go through the main lobby, but once you get out of the elevators, you are outdoors until you get to your room. There is an overhang, of course, but if it's windy and it's blowing rain in, you might get a little wet. Honestly, this feature didn't bother me much, but if you like your room to open up to an indoor hallway and not an outdoor one, either overlooking the pool or overlooking the parking lot, as I experienced, then you should maybe book the tower rooms instead. Overall, I had a wonderful stay at the Wyndham Garden Lake Buena Vista. Besides the few little things I mentioned, which felt pretty minor to me, I felt like it was worth it. What made it most worth it to me was the proximity to Disney Springs and the Disney transportation there. I also utilized the shuttle service to the Disney parks on one day and lounged by the pool one day, which I enjoyed. There are definitely more higher end, good neighbor hotels in the Disney Springs area and other places around the Disney property. But if you're looking for a budget-friendly place that is great for kids and close to Disney Springs, this is definitely a great spot. I hope this helps. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll see you all soon.